Come join us on a fermentation tour at the Koji House inside the North American Sake Brewery in Charlottesville, Virginia. We were able to get a private tour with Andrew and Nick to check out all the things Koji, fermentation, sake making, and using Koji for culinary purposes.
Hi, I'm Andrew Santafonte from North American Sake.
And I'm Nick Adams from Koji House.
And together we are...
Koji House and North American Sake.
We're both. So the thing about sake is it all starts with rice. And so this is just an example of some of the rice that we have. We do something special to the rice called milling. So you can see it's like little pearls. And the reason we do that is good sake rice has a core of starch in the center of the grain. And we're getting rid of fats and proteins and other elements to try to refine the content of starch. And the more you mill, the more starch-based it will be, the more fruity and aromatic the style of sake will be. The more of that grain that you leave in, the more earthy and umami-based the sake will be.
So you can see here, this grain is like a little more intact than the one that you just saw.
Yeah, so that's milled to about 70%, so it would be kind of like a junmai style of sake.
Okay.
And then this is milled to 50%, so this is more of like a daiginjo style of sake.
Okay. And that seems more short grain, or is it the same?
It's the same grain, so it's both short grain rice.
Okay.
Typically that's what we use in sake is short grain. And so then we further mill it to adjust the ratio of starch in the final product.
Got it.
Yeah.
And when you say like 50 or 70%, that's the full whole.
Yeah, so
Like
70
100%.
would mean that 70% remains and 30 has been milled away.
Okay.
50 means half that grain is gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 100% would mean all of that.
Yeah, 100% would mean the whole grain would be involved.
Yeah.
But whole grain isn't typically used in sake.
This is
produces
100% mill.
too
rice.
much. No, it would be the other
No,
way.
no.
Oh yeah, true.
100% would be
Right.
like full brand and everything, and
Everything in there.
that would be, those usually put off flavor and it would be really rough. And then 0% would be insane. But there are crazy mills in sake, like 35%, 20%, 15%. But at that, it's kind of getting gimmicky. It's kind of getting a little bit wild.
What do you do with the wheat bran? Is it?
So our rice farm
The rice
is,
bran.
the rice farm is what does the milling for us.
Okay.
And so they deal with all
Okay.
of that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that
then you
whole
just
separate
order it
process.
already.
We order it, already milled.
Okay.
And so we get our rice from either California or Arkansas. So all American-grown rice produced here. But like I said, they do the milling and then we receive it.
Okay. Organic.
Sustainable focus.
Okay.
So what I would say is that our farms are really interested in ways to reduce pollution and also to bring in natural environments to help with the sake rice growth, whether that's having like crayfish environments or natural bird environments, and other kind of techniques that reduce the amount of gasoline used in tractors so they don't have to go back and forth as many times.
Very cool.
So they do a lot of sustainable practices. So while maybe not organic, they're still very focused on how do we make sure this has very low impact from CO2 and on the environment. Yeah.
Holistic.
Do you even have to worry about arsenic in rice when you're fermenting it into either
No.
sake or koji?
Straight up no.
No. So rice, that's rice.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
we could talk about the influence of mill rate on like the koji, if we think that's like a
Yeah.
so the mill rate definitely influences koji and koji growth. The rice itself is really important to the growth of koji. You think about koji and rice, like we kind of consider it, the rice itself is the terroir, like the actual grain of rice. We are preparing the environment for koji to grow on, around, and into. So a lot of sake brewing and koji making is about controlling a lot of different elements of your environment to create the conditions that allow this incredible mold to grow and then create the enzymatic profiles that we want. So it's very interesting mindset into how you grow koji well.
do we want to like go 101 on what koji is first, and then go from there?
Let's do that. Because then people don't even know what it is, number
Sure.
one, and then there's the sweet and the umami style.
Yeah.
That's the savory.
Sure.
That'd be cool to talk
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 101, Koji 101. Koji is a kind of Japanese mold, commonly grown on rice, can be grown on all kinds of stuff, soybeans, barley, whole 9 yards. We grow it on rice, most traditionally, and we have 2 varieties here. So what Andrew was just talking about with mill rate and how intact that rice grain is, has a huge influence on the flavor of the Koji, and also the flavors that it goes on to produce when you ferment with it. So we have 2 kinds, umami and sweet. Umami is on a 90% mill, so it's basically completely intact. Most of that outside of the grain is still there, so you're going to have those really bold, like umami flavors. Great for miso, great for shio koji. And then our sweet style is a milled grain, so it's 50% of that grain is removed. And this is actually the exact same kind of koji used to make his sake. So there are a few different grades of sake.
Yeah.
This one is used to make what's known to be the highest quality of sake.
Daigenjo.
Yeah, Junmai Daigenjo, yeah.
You also serve amazake here?
We don't.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's one of our projects.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. And so the idea too is that when you leave more of that grain intact, there's more proteins, there's more fats, and the koji will grow in a different way because it's interacting with those ingredients or the composition of the grain. And then for the more sweet style, it's more starch based. And so depending upon how you grow that koji, you'll get different enzyme profiles. If, for example, our umami style have more encouraging more protease enzymes, which break down protein into amino acids.
Yeah.
And amino acids are delicious.
That is the umami.
That is umami.
Yes.
Versus the more sweet style, which is more about growing it to encourage amylase production, which is sugars. And so for sake production, amylase is great because the yeast eats sugar, and that's how we get alcohol. And so both are delicious and have different application, but that's how you do it.
What about the time to completion?
Yeah, so that changes some too. I mean, generally because of the nutritional profile of a more intact grain, it grows aggressively, and so we spend a lot of time trying to manage that. Versus a finer mill, the nutritional content's a little bit starved, and so the koji grows in a different kind of way. And so these are all like kind of the deep nuance of like sake and koji.
That's
Did I just jump
You know?
to 201?
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
We'll edit in post, you know?
Yeah.
That'll be
And it's a fascinating topic of like how you grow your koji.
Yeah.
Is so important, at least for sake, because
For sure.
those enzymes, which are creating hundreds of different enzymes
And
in
you're
different
growing both
amounts.
the umami and the sweet.
Yes. Yeah, we do them separately because like they both require kind of their own specific
Different
care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then it turns, so you make the koji here, and then
Yes.
where does it go?
So
let's just go sake.
yeah, we'll go sake side real quick. So this is our rice steamer. It's got stuff on it right now because we also use it as a drying rack and for many other things. But essentially, we will lay this cloth out. So this is our rice steamer. This is where we steam all of the rice that we make for koji as well as for sake production. So the idea is that we are gelatinizing rice. We're getting it ready to ferment, or we're getting it ready to grow koji on. And so what we will do is we'll wash the rice, and then we'll soak the rice for a certain amount of time. So depending on the mill rate, the rice will soak up water at different speeds. And so usually when it's very finely milled, it'll soak up water very fast. So for the really fine milled rice, it might be only a few minutes that we will soak that rice. But for the more full grain rice, that might soak for longer, maybe an hour. It just kind of depends. Yeah, and so just depending on what we're trying to do, we're very precise in how we soak the rice.
the steam, yeah. Well, so it's everything. I mean, it starts with the age and the quality of the rice, and then depending on how you treat that grain, that has a huge influence on how well your koji is going to grow on that, and that really everything just builds off of how well you treat the koji along the entire process.
Yeah.
Good ingredients in, good processes in, good ingredients, good processes out.
Yeah, there's a running joke in the sake world where it's like, what's the most important thing of sake brewing? And they'll be like, okay, well, rice. And then they'll be like, how you make your koji. And then they'll be like, well, how you ferment is the most important thing. Everything is the most important
Every
thing.
single part.
So,
And the same thing goes for just koji. I mean, if you were to do miso brewing, it's all the same, you know. Like you can have so much detail and so much precision and so much care in every step. And it's all going to have an influence on that end product. So.
So anyway, we wash the rice and then we steam it. And so what we'll do is we lay a cloth down on this big table. We'll fill it up with the soaked rice, and then we steam it by injecting steam underneath it, and it rises up through and it cooks the rice. So instead of like boiling rice, like you normally might take rice, put it in water, get it to a boil, we steam it to try to keep it drier or more al dente. So it cooks from the heat and from the moisture that's already in the grain. And so you have a fully gelatinized grain of rice, but it's not wet and it's not mushy. That's very important. Mushy rice is not good for any of our other processes. So we steam around 3/4 of a ton of rice per batch of sake. So it's really important that we do not waste, that we make sure our rice is steamed really, really well. So again, back to the precision in soaking and the precision of your steam gets you set up to then create the rest.
It's not a set it, forget it thing, because you probably have to check the rice. I've only done it on a small batch in like a bamboo steamer,
Yeah.
but never on a large scale.
Yeah, yeah,
I can see how.
You got to get even more obsessive on the details.
Yeah. So once we're done steaming rice, that's really where we start to get into koji.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much time do you have to get it from here into?
So that's a really another kind of like piece of controlling the environments is that when it comes off the steamer, we try to cool it quickly and get it into the room at a certain temperature so that we have a consistent start point every time. So that's how we help to build consistency. So there's all these kind of key metrics that we pay attention to because sake is crazy. It's a really crazy beverage because you think about it, like we're talking about millions of grains of rice that we're trying to steam and get perfectly, cooked, and then we grow koji on it, and then we put it into a tank that's open top fermentation, that is stirred daily, that's exposed to the environments. There's no homogenization. It's all in there together for the full ferment. So there's tons of variables that are at play. So we have all these control points that we use to try to benchmark and create consistency in sake. It's insane.
A lot of science.
Yeah.
A lot of science.
But that's what makes it awesome.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a lot of intuition too, like because you get like a general idea of how things should go, and then you just have like a really like watching like really experienced tojis, like the sake brewmasters in Japan. Just like we were just watching a film of like people doing it like the 80s or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the brewmaster there who's just like nothing's really being like measured, but like he just knows exactly what's going on anywhere in the brewery. He's tasting and he's looking and he's listening, and it's just like this whole symphony of things going on.
For sure. That's been the fun of learning the sake brewing process, is to build those intuition and those skills around your environment.
So koji, yeah.
So koji. So this is our koji room. So, like we said before, koji is a special mold that we grow on rice that creates a bunch of different enzymes that turn starches into sugar and proteins into amino acids. Without sugar, you have no sake because the yeast has to eat that sugar to make alcohol. But rice does not have natural sugar. So this is where we get our sugar from. Comparing it to like beer, some would say it's kind of like the malt, but it's not.
It's more complex then, right? Than just like simple brewing beer and wine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, wine's definitely the simplest of those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of our brewers used to create wine. Okay. So we've pulled him over to the sake side. But wine is a beautiful beverage. Don't get me wrong. It's very complicated too. But so back to koji, and so essentially we steam rice. We let it cool to get to a certain temperature before we pull it into this room that is hot and it's humid to create the environment to encourage koji growth. And so you can see it's a cedar lined room. It's really beautiful. Cedar This is actually made from American cedar, and cedar is naturally antimicrobial. That's why it's used in saunas. And American cedar is different than Japanese cypress, like the sugi that's typically used, but functionally they're the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this kind of acts as like what we would use at home is a controlled environment.
Like an incubator
like
type.
An incubator.
Yeah.
So this room.
Yeah,
It's a huge incubator.
exactly. And that's the thing is like most, you don't go in this room unless we're making koji, and only the people who are making koji go in.
Right.
We make sure we wash our hands, we change our shoes. So while it's not a sterile
Yeah,
environment, it's a
shop our
clean
shoes here.
environment.
Yeah.
Different
Our
shoes.
that's
Yeah.
so sloppy.
Our Asian,
Great.
like an Asian household.
exactly.
all yeah. My mentors are gonna be like. Anyway. Yeah, so essentially we bring the rice into this room where it's on these tables to start. We will take the spore. You can get close. You can get in there, but you can get this. We take the spore and we sprinkle it onto the rice. We do a lot of mixing to get that well incorporated onto the grain, and then we'll pile it into what I call these big koji mountains, and then we'll wrap it in blankets to keep it warm and together.
Right.
And so the idea is that we're trying to get the koji a foothold to start its growth. From there, it stays there for about 24 hours. And from there, we break it off into these smaller boxes that you see around the room. And those just help us control humidity and temperature in a more fine degree,
Right.
in a smaller amount. Because as koji grows, it makes its own heat. And so too hot, and that's not good for the growth of koji. Too cold, that's also not good for the growth of koji. And again, we're trying to have it grow at certain curves to encourage certain enzymatic profiles.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the other thing about,
Food
and so we kind of breezed through it, but the reality around sake brewing, koji making, is that, we'll be in this room at 2 a.m, at 3 a.m, making sure that the koji is growing on just the right trajectory. Because koji is a living thing, and it has its own life cycle,
Very labor-intensive.
and it will start to heat up when it wants to heat up, and we need to be there to cool it down or to do the next step of koji making.
And is that like a history of all the past batches or the batches that you
Yeah, those are past batches that are growing at different rates, and we track them over time and against each
Okay.
other to see kind of like what's going on.
So it looks like it grows and then it drops.
No, it kind of grows. It grows kind of on the curve, and then it will kind of level
This is
out.
probably the
It
best
depends.
example here of.
Yeah, and these
typically.
are like 2 in the morning kind of scribbles,
Yeah.
so they don't really like graph accurate of like
Right.
what that curve might look like. But the idea is that it kind of hits a certain
So the left-hand side, is it the temperature?
temperature, and the bottom is time
In Celsius?
in
Yes.
Celsius.
Celsius,
Yes.
okay.
But yeah, all these little drop downs you see is where we go in and we knock the heat out. So it's basically we literally just go
We
in
mix.
and mix it up. Yep.
We mix by hand, yeah.
Okay.
And then we adjust certain small things, whether there's a blanket on top or not, or a slat of wood underneath to allow airflow.
Okay.
You're just kind of doing these micro adjustments to kind of get it to where you want it to be.
Yeah.
But all of it is still in that cloth, right?
So we have different cloths for different things, but we have it in cloth for sure.
Is it made out of cotton?
It's a polypropylene. It's just like a durable, breathable cloth.
Airy.
And
Yeah.
these are cotton though.
Those are cotton, yeah. Those are just blankets
Right.
that we use to keep it. If we want to keep heat and moisture in, we'll use a cloth like that. So it really depends on what's happening and what we need it to do.
Did you make all of the boxes?
We did. So all the tables, the boxes were handmade based on my experience in Japan. So we built these boxes to match that experience and what we learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we went through your history briefly, but what was your background? What did you study? What did you both study before? Like how? I know. We'll get to how you met at. the
Yeah.
bar, but like, what was your history?
So
before?
I was in marketing and design, and I was actually a brand strategist for a company called Semester at Sea, which is a study abroad company, which afforded me the ability to travel around the world, and I was able to experience many different cultures, and Japan was one of them, and that was one of the places that I absolutely fell in love with, and gave me kind of the confidence to like meet people from other cultures and to embrace what their passions are. And so I found myself in Japan quite a bit for that job, and that's really where I fell in love with sake. You know, being able to enjoy it at these places and be introduced to the culture of it was amazing. So, yeah.
And what was the aha moment?
Sorry, yeah. So the aha moment. So yeah, I was at this little izakaya, little smoky place, and just sitting at the bar, and this bartender just walked me through style and regionality and flavor profile. And I kind of had this epiphany where, one, it was delicious, but two, I was like, oh, this is so much like all the craft beer and the wine and the ciders that I love to explore. Like, why am I not exploring sake? And so I came back with the hobby of drinking a lot of different sakes. And then I had done homebrew beer, and so I thought one night, I wonder how you make it. And so I started to brew it and to learn about the process. And the deeper I got into that, the first time I made koji, for example, was like mind-blowing to me. I had so many questions, and so I just started to brew a lot of sake. Fast forward a few more years, and I was lucky enough to go to Japan and to study at a 200-year-old brewery in Osaka called Diamond Shuzo. And the rest is history. That was it. We've been open here for about 7 years now, making really traditional handcrafted styles that I was taught to make sake in kind of that method. But we also, because we're in the U.S., are fortunate enough that we can be more experimental. We can try new things. I mean, the alcohol world in the U.S. is very collaborative. It's very push the boundaries, and so it's a really interesting time to be in sake because it's like. Obviously we have a mandate to make the best sake humanly possible here. We also have a chance to push into new territory that Japanese brewers aren't always afforded that opportunity.
Right. That's where I feel the conversation is happening even in the culinary world, where I come more from the traditional. My mom, I live with mom, or mom lived with us, and because I was born and raised here in America, we have that ability to blend a little bit of both the traditional, honoring the traditions, but also testing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what we have available that they might not have had back in Asia.
Well, I mean, it's like, it just reminds me of a story when I was in Japan and my mentor kind of was looking at me and he goes, it must be so interesting to be a sake brewer in America. I was like, well, yeah, it is. There's no resources. There's no industry. But he was like, I was like, well, why do you say that? And he's like, well, you can do whatever you want. He was like, here in Japan, we have certain laws. We have our customer base. We have our traditions. We have even recognized flavor. Your brewery is known for having a certain character, maybe. And it's hard to deviate from that. But in America, you can just you can try something totally new. And that to me was really important and encouraging because it was like, we are aspiring to make great sake here, hands down. But we also have opportunity to build our own destiny into what that actually is. So it's interesting.
How many sake breweries are there in the United States?
So there's a handful, probably about 20, maybe 25.
Okay.
When we started, we were the 8th sake brewery, and now there's about 25. So, it's kind of going. Yeah.
But none that really have a koji room, I assume.
No, they all have koji rooms. Yeah. Koji making is such a key piece of sake brewing that you can't divorce it. Like, you have to have a koji room. And that's also what's interesting about sake is like, again, that control of environment. Like, my room is my room, and part of, people can't make my sake because they don't have my room and they don't have my environment. And that's why I think sake brewers are so collaborative and communicative, because it's like,
there's no competition.
Yeah, it's just
uniquely
you. Yeah.
And then Nick, what is your story? How did you get into the science of koji?
Let's see. I mean, studied geography in college. That didn't really inform a lot of what I'm doing now. But let's see. I mean, I was always into the culinary world. Always back of house growing up. Those were my first jobs. And just totally fell in love with food. Went plant-based about 8 years ago, and then really became aware of how bad vegan food was. And I became obsessed with finding out like what good flavor is and where that comes from, and a lot of that just took me into that fermentation realm, and like all the traditions and all of those practices and methods, and then ultimately skipping a lot of details, but yeah, it's what ended up here. And we can we can go into I guess where the worlds collided.
But did you already explore Koji
Yeah,
on your
yeah.
own at home before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It was something that I was limited in my approach of exploring, and then after being in, it was like, well, now I can just play freely with everything. So yeah.
Now you can tell me the story. How you guys met.
We should like switch up every other word.
Do you want to do it or me?
You do it better.
Okay.
You do it better.
So we actually met at a bar,
Yeah.
and literally just happened to sit down next to Nick, and I think I was wearing this hat, like my sake hat.
Exactly.
And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, are you involved with the sake brewery?" I said, "Oh yeah, it's my brewery." And he goes, "No way, you know about Koji then?" And I was like, "Well, wait a minute, you know about Koji?" Like, because to me, like that's mind blowing. Like, nobody knows what Koji is. And so we had an amazing conversation just about Koji and sake
Just
and
nerding
food,
out,
just
yeah.
nerding out, and we stayed in touch, and it kind of developed into this thing where, we have this Koji room. Obviously, we have kasu byproducts, and sake brewing's intense. It's really deep and nuanced. But I know there's this whole culinary world to it, and I love shio kojis. I love food-based ferments, misos, obviously, and I kind of just said, "Hey, Nick, there's an opportunity here. We have Koji, we have kasu. What can we do with it? I'm focused on sake, but maybe you could be focused on this." Mm-hmm. And he took it and ran. And that's the story of like Koji House, is like, how do we get Koji and kasu to the masses? How do we get people excited about these ingredients that we know can create incredible flavor?
Yeah.
And that's the story. He gave me his card and he said, "We should start a business." I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so I came back the next day. I walked in here. It was a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, and it's the truth, because it's like always in the back of my mind when I was making at the time Koji, you're just I want to do more with food, but
Sake requires its own special
it's
reverence and focus, and yeah, it's very much like a one or the other type thing.
And so here at North American Sake and Koji House, you are managing pretty much the growth of Koji for both the sake and the umami.
On and off. I mean, yeah, it's there's a cross pollination of everything. Yeah, but like I said, our sweet style Koji uses the exact same Koji that they use for the sake. So in that case,
Oh, okay.
there's that.
The same Koji for the sweet and the umami?
No, different
Okay,
different kinds. Yes,
Yes.
but the sweet style is the same that's used for our product, and then also their sake.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, like we make Koji here a lot, and then when we are making Koji specifically for Koji House,
I see.
we will create that specifically. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're making Koji pretty.
For the sake side,
Yep.
but then, okay, so tell me the areas of the business then, because there's the sake side obviously, but I think you also sell Koji online.
Yes. Yeah, I'll grab them.
Okay.
I'll go right now.
Yeah.
Well, I only know Koji from the culinary side,
Mm.
and I don't know, Nick, were you part of Sandor Kat's fermentation
No, I
residency?
wish.
Oh, okay. So
I-
we did it there. I was part of Sandor Kat's fermentation residency.
When did you do
last
that?
Year.
Last year?
Last
Okay.
2020.
Cool.
Oh, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 2023,
Nice.
one of them. But yeah, I'm more on the culinary side, and then how to use Koji as a zero waste, and then without having to use very many ingredients. If it's sauces that we can make at home. So I wrote the Nourishing Asian Kitchen Cookbook. I wish I had known. I
very
would have
cool.
had another copy. For
Oh,
you.
that would have been awesome. Thank you.
But I'll send you another copy.
Cool.
But yeah, it's
Check that
basically kind of the blend of like traditional, but the traditional ways of cooking. And
Yeah.
I haven't incorporated Koji. That will be in cookbook number 3.
Nice.
Very cool.
Cookbook number 2 is going to be more of what we had just talked about, the traditional and the
Yeah.
modern. But the third one will be how do we create the zero waste, but also bring out the incredible flavors of
Yeah.
the natural fermentation.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, Koji is just so powerful in its ability to transform food, and and also
And the
just
stuff that we don't even see as food, the stuff that we see as waste.
yeah,
Right.
and that's the
You're
thing
saying.
is like even as simple as like pickling and like taking these
Right.
vegetables and transforming them into something different, or taking just this koji and some salt and water, and you can slather that on stuff, and you could dry age beef in a couple days with something like that. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so tell us about Koji House's cooking.
Yeah. So there's probably gonna be some overlap from what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But 2 kinds, our savory, our umami style, and our sweet style. I guess we'll start with our sweet style since we were just talking about sake. It's actually the same kind of koji that's used to make Andrew's Junmai Ginjos, which is thought of as the highest grade of sake. So yeah, we grow that on a very particularly milled rice. You can see it's much smaller. The grains are much smaller than these on this side. Basically, you're going to get a much sweeter product out of this, much more carbohydrate rich. And then this one is for all the ferments you're probably more familiar with.
Well, so going back to the sweet,
Yes.
is that the 70% milled or the 50%?
That's 50%.
That's 50%
That's
milled.
50%.
Yeah, and this one's actually 90, so it's even more intact than what you saw
Oh,
over
okay,
there. Yeah.
great. And so for the home Koji fermentationalist, that would be if you're wanting to make sake at home
Yes.
or amazake.
Yep, amazake mirin is one that I've been having a lot of fun with recently.
Mirin is so expensive.
Yeah, so this is definitely the
we'll grab
go-to.
that.
Actually, there's a whole other story with that as well. So there's a distiller here in Charlottesville, and actually I'll back up once more. So when you brew sake, I don't know who should be speaking to, you or the camera.
That's fine. Yeah.
So when you brew sake, there's stuff left over at the end called sake kasu, and it's just everything that's pulled out, filtered away, just a massive fermented rice. That Andrew basically gives to this distiller here in Charlottesville, who takes it and distills it into what's called shochu, which is like a Japanese spirit. And shochu is one of the fundamental components of mirin. So yeah, it's basically shochu plus koji plus rice.
Right.
Yeah.
Do
I
they
just
sell that mirin? Do they?
No, we haven't connected all those dots in terms of a final product yet.
Right.
But that's the thing is like we're working on our end for zero waste as well, where we can take the kasu, we can either sell it through Koji House or work with this distiller to make shochu, kasatori shochu, and then maybe even a step further to get to
it's just
mirin and
it's just a
other
great
products.
example and like expression of like one the zero food waste, but also just like how cool you can get with your products when you start integrating with other businesses in like the local food scene. And like you get it's really interesting. It's really local.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, this
It's like
is,
the mycelial network.
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
Koji. Yeah,
It totally is. Yeah,
It's
Yes,
Koji.
it is.
we're all Koji.
Yeah.
We're all excited. Have you guys gone to Koji Con?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, I was lucky enough to speak. We did a session at Koji Con, the virtual piece,
Last week.
just last week, which was really cool. And then, over the years, I've been able to speak virtually. I haven't been to I guess, I don't know how it's set up anymore.
Okay.
But
I have
whether
yet
it's
to
virtual
go, but
or in person
Gotta
every
come
time.
next
But
time.
I gotta
yeah.
come. Yeah, I gotta go next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then your umami.
Yes.
Koji.
Yeah. So the umami style is, like I said earlier, it's a 90% milled grain. So it's like basically table rice almost. So it has all those like savory, kind of fatty characters of the rice still. So you're gonna get a lot more complexity, a lot more savory flavors. This is for stuff like miso, like shio koji, garums, other lesser known ferments. Kind of like the all-purpose workhorse here. But yeah, definitely more savory forward. And what else is there to say?
We
Complex,
say like this
huh?
is the culinary one. So I've only really made the umami style, right? Koji. I've at Sandor's we made the amazake there,
Okay.
but I haven't. So what
You
would
could use this to make amazake. I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
just
think
wouldn't
that's-
really have the same character. It would have like way more like savory forward,
Okay.
umami forward notes. So this one was just more as a way to like really focus in on those
Sweet.
that sweet character of amazake.
And there's no added sugar, right?
Right,
And that's
yeah.
that's the beauty of it, because we try to. Okay, maybe this is Koji 3.0, but have there been any studies on insulin with Koji, like for people who are diabetics?
I don't know. I'm not
Because
sure.
that would be something.
Yeah.
My dad's pre-diabetic, so I wonder. He's skinny, but he eats a lot of rice. I think that's the reason why. But I wonder if instead of using something sweet to flavor,
Sure.
like honey or maple syrup, we try to do things that are on the
I mean, yeah, like if we're talking like glycemic index, like
Yeah.
it's definitely lower than something like honey or something like
Right.
sugar.
Exactly.
But
So
yeah.
I wonder.
I'm not sure.
Wonder if there are. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
to
we
understand.
really
I'm sure there is.
interesting.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Because like
Okay,
shio koji would be. I love shio koji.
Shio koji's got its own natural sugars
Right.
as well. Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's
I'm
that.
interested to try the sake here.
Yeah, it's good.
And,
It's great.
Pretty great.
well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for the
Thank you.
tour.
Sure.
And,
These are for you.
Oh.
There you go.
thank you. Also, highly encourage you if you are out here in Virginia, DC. I actually went to college at the. Oh, here.
There you go. You just plug it right off.
I'll-
Yeah,
I'll,
yeah, I heard it. Here. There you go.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you, Nick, for the tour here at North American Sake and the Koji House in Charlottesville, Virginia. I highly encourage you if you're wanting to play around with Koji and fermentation. It's already pre-made for you here, and you can trust that it's the highest quality. So you have a website?
I do, yeah. Kojihouse.co.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and try some Koji here, and I'll let you know how it tastes.
I hope you enjoyed our private tour of the Koji House inside the North American Sake Brewery Company. I highly recommend that you play around with Koji, check it out, and if you would like to see more recipes with me making Koji with our family, drop a comment below and let us know. And please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.